Welcome to the setup and playthrough of a mission in By Stealth and Sea from BG Games, which is designed by David Thompson. He's done a number of other games, Undaunted, Normandy, which there's a solo mode coming out for that any time. Also Pavlov's House, Castle Hitter. Another one in the Valiant Defence series is due out any time, which is Soldiers in Postman's Uniforms. I believe that's at the printers at the moment. And one thing with David Thompson, any solitaire game that he writes is a good game. They tend to be fairly quick to play as well, so it's one you can set up and play in an evening with no problem at all. So, on with the game. By Stealth and Sea details the exploits of the Italian Navy with their manned torpedoes, manned submarines. They used to send them into the harbours to wreak havoc with the British with varying degrees of success. And today we're going to be starting with mission number 1, which is in Gibraltar. As you can see from the map, if I just tip it a little bit, there you go, there's the Gibraltar map. You get 3 maps with it. You get Gibraltar, Algiers, and Alexandria. What is good is you get a mission guide. So each mission, you get a little overview on the mission of what actually happened in reality. Then it goes through the mission setup, which I'm going to do in a moment, and you also see what the historic result was for each one, so you can try and better that. And the idea, and you can see from this what you see, is to sink ships. The higher the value, the better. Also, if you can escape intact, which is no easy feat, you also get additional victory points. So let's start. And I have cheated slightly on the setup in that I've got certain things ready, because there's my one bugbear about this game, which I will come to in a minute, and it is only a minor bugbear. So first of all, let's go through the mission setup, and before I start I'll then read out the overview in brief. Game board. Place the Gibraltar game board in the centre of the play area. You've got that. Cargo ship counters. There are various cargo ships. Let me just show you these are the cargo ship counters. I've already got 3 out, and it tells you, as you saw on the map, it tells you where to place them. So these are going here and here. They also have a victory point value on there, so you can see each of those. The generic cargo ships, these ones, this mission. Sink one of those, you get 1 point. But the juicy targets are in the harbour. Naval counters. Find your level naval counters. This is where I've cheated. You can see them on the bottom. And this is my bugbear. Let me show you. They have all these different counters with different ships' names on. It takes quite a while, and the writing is quite small when you're getting on a little bit like I am. It takes a while to pick them out, and it's especially infuriating when there's 11 counters in. There's a few missions where I've got 10, looking through the pack and thought, where's the other one? I've missed it. I've put it back in, so I have to go all the way through it again. Like I say, very minor issue, and I'm sure that other people have found ways around that where they can put them somewhere, I don't know, alphabetical order or something that makes it easier than what I do, which is just go through it. So we now put them where it's done. Then you can see most of these are face down except for a few. So what have we got? We've got the HMS Renown. There's the Renown. That one goes Colin Island. Now that's worth 10 points. That will be a beauty to get. Then we've got HMS Barham, which would also be nice to get. But you've got to get through these anti-torpedo nets, sorry. And it's difficult to get to there. Hence the better value. HMS Furious. goes next to it, and the Sheffield's worth 5 points, and it goes there. Now the remainder are all worth 3 points. You turn them upside down, but as I say, it doesn't really matter about knowing which is which, because they're all worth the same value, whichever I go for. So all worth 3, which is still nice. And bearing in mind the historic result was 3 victory points, if you can take one of these out, you've equalled that result. So you've got the Renown 10 points, Barham 10 points, Furious 7 points, Sheffield 5, the rest of them 3 points. The SLC counters. Now the SLC is Italian, basically for manned torpedo or manned submarine. And these go down here. Just zoom. They all start surfaced. You actually travel further surface. You can travel up to 3 spaces when you're surfaced, only 2 when you're submerged. But as you can imagine, when you're surfaced, you're more likely to be spotted. There's various ways you can be spotted, which we'll come to. You can choose the initial direction. You see the little arrows on them, so you could have them turn that way. Now, for this mission, it makes sense for them to be going forward straight away, because these are the 2 ways in. I'm not saying I won't go for a cargo ship, because it depends what happens, but my initial plan is to try and get these into the harbour. Time tokens. Now let's get some of these tokens out. Time token, you can see on the bottom, each mission starts at past midnight. So far, I've not done the entire missions, I've done most of them. And they all start at past 12, and your time limit is you've got to be out of there by 6 o'clock. And the 4 patrol craft, numbered 1 to 4. There are other ones, but in this mission we've just got 4. They go somewhere near the game board, so let's just put those there. I'll just put them there because I'm trying to make sure you can see everything that I'm putting on. Detected tokens. These little tokens here, these are added onto the craft when and if they are detected by searchlight or patrol craft, which, trust me, you will see. Dice, just turn that. You see we've got 5 dice there. The alert deck, it's 36 cards in the alert deck, and we use those in conjunction with these to see whether we've been detected or not, rather than rolling a die. So I already shuffled these. Where should we put these so that they're still on the board and I don't need to be able to see them as I'm turning them over. There we go. You can just see those there. Fault deck. There's more. There are a number of fault deck cards there. I've already selected the different ones for each mission. So the ones that we've got for this mission are all level 1 fault decks. So you pick them out before each mission. Which ones you want. I've seen people complain a little bit about this game, not in general, because it's very well received. I'm going to put those there. I may have to move those because they may get in the way, but they might not. I don't really need to be going down that side. And what they've complained about is the randomness of the game, and yes, you can, and as does happen a lot of the time, you can suffer faults to your craft, and it's virtually game over just due to pulling back cards. But these craft were very unreliable, so fairly realistic in that a lot of these missions ended in failure because the craft simply stopped working the way they should. So we've got the faults deck, the forward positioning card. There's various ones. La Spezia. And each craft begins with 1 surge token. I'll come to that in a second. And it tells you before the mission, each craft performs 2 fault checks, which basically means taking 2 of those cards each. So I'm going to move that out of the way because it doesn't really, apart from that, it doesn't really come into the game. So we now place 1 surge token on each SLC on the breathing gear. And I believe you can see the breathing gear there, breathing gear, breathing gear. This affects data. You can use these to roll again if you need to hit something. But once you've done that, your stamina roll goes down by 1. So you do get ones where you'll get, I think the last mission upload was the 7th one. I think you had 3 of these tokens, so you could afford to use them a little bit more freely. With these, you'd only use them in desperate times, really. Harbour defence cards. You can see the harbour defence I've already spoken about. You've got the searchlights, underwater dive team not established, patrol craft response for surfaced and submerged, patrol craft movement, that always stays the same. The attack, shore-based mortar isn't deployed yet, and that's to get through the anti-torpedo net. So you've got all those now. There are, whatever I put the card, the various cards, which is as the missions go on and the defence tactics evolve, they make it more difficult for your craft, so that they go on top of these. But first mission, none of that. So we don't have to worry about the harbour defence cards. The SLC sheets, which is these 3, you place these near the game board, got these, and the operator cards. A lot of different operator cards. Your chances of survival weren't high, so they got through a lot of operators. And I've already put the 3 at the top that we need. They do have 2 sides. When a craft gets hit, it goes from the 2 action point side to the 1 action point side. So we've got Tessa and Pedretti on 2, Birindelli and Paganini on 1, Durandula Penne and Bianchi on craft number 3, so that's the craft done. Right. And we also on this one have a number of skill tokens, which is useful. These seem to diminish later on. I don't know whether that's because some of the more experienced operators are killed or captured and they're bringing more novice ones. So SLC, nothing on SLC 1 and SLC 2, we place a 2 skill token on the repair side, so that's that, and you can see it says that on that card as well, and a 2 skill token on stamina. And this is when we're making different rolls, it's the number of dice you roll. So usually you just roll 1 die, they'll only roll 1 each time. But if you make a repair roll, SLC 2, they get to roll 2 and take the highest one. And I can just show you here, this is the different actions that you take. So for instance, to change direction, it's the pilot roll, which is there. Repair, as you can see there, as you'd imagine, you roll the repair. So it's very useful having those. Now the SLC tokens, which are the blue tokens, which you can see in a second. We place 1 token on the following space on each sheet on SLC. So wetsuit 1, transmission 1, ballast tank 1, battery 2, and we do that from each one, they're all the same. And you can see what happens here once they've gone. You have to take a stamina check on that one. Transmission, you can't do a full move, which is the 2 or 3 move. You can only move one at a time. The ballast tanks, if that's gone, you can't be submerged. The battery is a disaster, you can't move. 2 of those. And then the warhead we'll come to in a second, so that's all, yeah. And it's 1 warhead token, so each craft has 1 go at taking out a ship if they get in position. And that is the setup. So I'm just going to briefly read a little bit. The submarine, and you'll have to pronounce, and I apologise for my Italian here, the submarine Sierra, commanded by Junio Valerio Borghese, left La Spezia on 21st October 1940 with the 3 craft, pressure resistant canisters and 4 crews. Primary crews were Birindelli, Tessai and Durandula Penne, while the reserve crew consisted of Bertozzi with Viglioli. Doesn't appear in this game. The submarine arrived in the bay on the 29th of October. Borghese positioned it a few hundred metres from the mouth of the river Guadaranque, well within Algeciras Bay and directly opposite the rock. This would also, the rock obviously, the Rock of Gibraltar. This would also serve the drop-off positions in missions BG3 and BG4. We're in BG2 at the minute. The crews were assigned their targets, the battleships HMS Barham and HMS Renown. Renown there, Barham there. All operators had difficulty with their SLCs right after extraction from the canisters. Birindellis and Durandula Pennes had trouble with the ballast pumps and the craft would not stay surfaced. The La Pennes also had issues with the batteries and the craft eventually suffered an internal explosion that forced the crew to abandon the mission. So as I say, they didn't even get started. Tessay and his second operator were plagued by troubles with their breathing gear, and also the spare gear was found faulty. This, coupled with the difficulty of keeping the craft surface, led Tessay to the decision of aborting the mission. They separated the warhead and set the self-destruction mechanism and let the craft sink. Both crews swam to safety on the beach at La Linea, where they were picked up by agents of the Italian Secret Service and eventually repatriated to Italy. Birindelli and Paccagnini pressed on despite the difficulties with the buoyancy of the craft. Eventually, the breathing gear was also found faulty and had to use the spare one. They used a line of ships in the roadstead to cover their approach to the inner harbour. And 3 hours and 45 minutes after leaving the submarine, they passed the inner harbour obstructions on the surface undetected. Their target, the Barham, was a mere 250 metres dead ahead. When Paccagnini's oxygen ran empty and he had to leave Birindelli alone. Birindelli approached the target submerged. At about 70 metres short of the Barham, the SLC stopped, dead in the water. Birindelli tried to drag the craft to the target and also tried with the warhead alone, but was overcome with fatigue and exhaustion. He decided nevertheless to activate the warhead and try to flee the harbour. He was turned in by the crew of a ship, where he tried to hide. Paccagnini was fished out of the water in the morning, both were taken prisoner. The mission was a failure, mainly due to the faults in the crafts, but it had important consequences. One SLC was found by the British and triggered into motion their countermeasures. Another failed self-destruct and was found intact on the beach at La Linea by the Spanish. The British were allowed to take some pictures, but not to take it with them. So that's what started the defences being built up over time against these. So this is the first mission they've tried with these craft. So the first thing we're going to do, before we start any actions by the craft, is, as you remember on here, La Spezia perform 2 fault checks for each SLC before beginning the mission. So, for a fault check, now we're going to do it I'm going to do 1 for each, so I'm going to do 1 fault 1, 1 fault for 2, 1 fault for 3, and then go back that way. So we've got a breathing gear fault. So we have 1 repair check, and if we get a 6, we're okay. If we fail, we have to discard the surge token immediately and the card from the game. So we could be looking at an immediate disaster. Well, disaster, we can carry on with this. Breathing gear is not the end of the world. It just affects rolls. We're we've not got a 6. So that goes. So any roll, -1 on stamina, and the breathing gear fault card disappears as well. So that's gone. Now a fault card for SLC2. And it's a wetsuit fault. So we've got the wetsuit. Stamina check 5. I need to check what that means actually. But first of all, let's see if we pass the repair check. If we get a 5 or a 6, it stays in place. And we have. So we haven't failed, but we discard this card from the game, but that stays in place, which also saves me pausing while I check what the stamina check fault was. And SLC3 has got a transmission fault. Now, this one's slightly different because what we do, I'll put it here for now, but I will move it. That's an element. I can just turn it slightly and you can see it. I'll put that card there next to the card. So it's the transmission. So that, as you can see, can't do a full move while that's out, but we get a go at repair checking it. So we need to roll a 6. So we've already placed the card next to the SLC sheet and we've placed the SLC token on the card. Now we need a 6. And we've got it, which is great news because that goes back. That's discarded. So we've done one for each. We're now going to do another one. So back to SLC1. Similar to the first one. So the ballast tank fault. So let's move that. Now this means this one can't submerge while that's off. So we now are going for a 6 again. And we've got a 6. So that goes back. So that can submerge. Is that not rolling properly? Let me try swap these over. So SLC2 fault. Another ballast tank fault. So it's the same thing. So again, we need to roll. We can't roll 3 6s in a row, can we? No, we can't. So that stays off. But in our next go, he can have a go at repairing this. So we'll talk about that in a little while. So finally, we've got a battery fault. Now this one, as you can see, it's not got space to have the counter. So we've got 2 battery tokens at least. So it's not the end of the world originally. But we need a 6, otherwise we've got to discard that token. That's a 5. So that token's gone. That's gone. And that is the end of the pre-mission rolls. We're now going to start with turn 1. So we start in turn 1. The first thing we do is, although we've done the fault checks pre-mission, at the start of every turn, we now perform a fault check for one of the craft. So what we roll is this die here, which has a 1, 2 and a 3 on it. So to see which craft may suffer a fault. So it's a 3. So we need a fault for this one. And it's the warhead. So we start with 1 token. And we need, as you can see, a 6 to successfully repair immediately. No. So the warhead is going here. So at the moment that craft is useless. But we're not going to need the warhead just yet. So I'm going to try and I may try and get close. But anyway, on with the turns. So as I've already stated, each craft, when it's not damaged, has 2 action points. And these are some of the different moves. And as you can see there, if you look at the full move, you've got 2 options. You can use both of your action points to successfully move, or you can use one and gamble on it. So for this one, if you were submerged, 4, 5 or 6 will be successful, 1, 2 or 3 will be a fail. once you've used one action point, once you've done one of these and it's failed, you can't do it again. So I can't fail that move and then try it again. You have to try something different. So that's one of the risks. So I'm going to try and do each craft slightly differently. So I'm perhaps not going to play it to the best of my ability, which, let's be honest, is not great. I'll just put that out there. I don't do brilliantly in this game. It is difficult. But I'll try and do each one differently. I'll use one where I'm gambling a bit, use one where it's safe. I'll try and show the difference between a surface craft and a submerged craft as well, so you'll get to see that. So craft 1 is the one that's got no damage to it at the moment. So what I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to gamble, and I'm going to try and do a full surface move first, so I can move up to 3 spaces. Once you submerge, you can only move up to 2. So I need a 4, 5 or a 6 for a bit of success on this. And it's a 4. So 1, 2, 3. I need to get to there, so I want to get there as quickly as possible. Now I'm going to use one action point, so I'm not going to submerge it. Am I going to submerge? Yes, I'm going to try and submerge. So we're going to dive. And again, we're gambling because we've only got one action point left. So I need a 4, 5 or a 6 again. We can only roll 1 dice, which is it's for most of these things. When we're repairing, you can roll 2 on that one. And for stamina checks, you can roll 2 with that one. So here we go. We need a 4, 5 or a 6 to submerge and a 5. So really successful move there. And you turn that over so you can try and map that out. For some reason that's not zero, because I'm not zooming in. You can see that's now on the submerged side. We've got craft number 2. Now at the moment with this damage, the ballast tank damage, it can't submerge at all. We need to repair it. And if we look, let's see that over there, we would need, although we could roll 2 dice, we'd need to roll a 6 with one of them, so it's not particularly likely. You can work out the odds for yourself. But I'm going to play boring. I'll not keep showing this, but to start with I will. So to repair the craft, whether you're surfaced or submerged, we could roll, use one action, or we can use both and repair that ballast tank. So we're going to repair it. It goes back onto there. That fault card is discarded. And what do we do now? So that there's nothing else to do with SLC2. Now SLC3, I'm going to leave that on the surface and move it. And I'm going to use both action points to guarantee that I move. So with this one, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 and stay surfaced. So that's the end of my movement turn. We've got SLC1 is submerged, 3 is surfaced, and 2 is surfaced. Let's move that out of the way, because now we look at the harbour defences. Searchlights. So we're going to do SLC1 first. So the searchlights are trying to find SLC1. It's submerged, so with the alert card, if I draw an 11 or a 12, it's been spotted. So you can see the alert card's in there, so we're going to take one alert card, and it's a 5. So I'll just put that there. So SLC1 is okay, not been spotted. SLC2 is surfaced, as is 3, so it's a 10 or 11 or a 12 will mean it's spotted, and it's a 10. So the only effect at the moment is we take one of these and we place that on SLC2. I'm just finding place in the rule book as well, make sure I don't make any mistakes as I'm going along. Now we're going to take one for SLC3, and that one again is surface, so it's a 10 or 11 or a 12. One point to note is if we've submerged SLC2, which we obviously couldn't because of the ballast tank fault, that wouldn't have been seen. So that's the difference between surface and submerged. So turn this off 7. So SLC3 is all right. The next harbour defence, underwater dive team, not yet established. So we now draw for the patrol craft response for each SLC. So we look at, we'll do one first. So it's submerged, it's not detected, it's not in the harbour, so 10 or 11 or a 12, that's when you're detected. And it's a 6, so SLC1 is okay. SLC2 is surfaced and it's detected, so it's a 7 or more is a disaster. Well, it's a disaster, it's an 8. So we take the first patrol craft and we turn it face down so it's on its exhausted side, right in front, and the hex in front of the direction it's facing. So we've already got a patrol craft after us running on turn 1. SLC3 is surfaced, it's not detected, so 9 or more is what we don't want. And it's a 5, so not too bad. We're alright with 1 and 3. Patrolcraft doesn't move in the first turn, it's exhausted, it turns over at the end of the turn. Counter-attack, to attack it has to be on the same hex as your shore-based mortar, that's not in effect yet. Anti-torpedo net doesn't happen in this turn, it happens when we approach the net as we try to get in to the harbour. So I've done that, just checking I'm not missing anything. And the patrol craft, one thing you always check for is if any of the patrol craft are more than, I think it's more than 4 hexes. Just check that. 4 more hexes away from any SLC, you withdraw the patrol craft. It can come back on, but for the time being it is revoked. And you flip the exhausted onto its ready side. We then move the turn tracker. And it's now 1 o'clock in the morning. Turn 2. First thing first, we check again one of the craft. Check if it's got fault. Number 2. So we've just repaired number 2. There's another potential fault. And that's the warhead as well. So if we move over there, so that's got a warhead fault. Now we do get a chance to repair it straight away, but we need a 6. Oh, we've got a 6. So we are having some lucky rolls. It's not like me at all. If anybody's watched my playthrough of Mrs. Thatcher's recently, I wasn't known for my lucky rolls in that one. So it's good to see that things are turning. So we now move on to the moves, and we've got, we're all right for time here. Now we submerged, and I think what I'm going to do with the first one, because we're all right for time, I'm going to play it safe and I'm going to do a full move, and I use both my action points, so I'm not going to roll a dice or a die. And I'm going to go, am I going to risk it? No, I'm going to play safe with this one. All I'm thinking is this the one I should gamble with? Because it's submerged, so it's less likely to be spotted. Yeah, I'm going to gamble. I'm going to gamble, change my mind. So we're going to try and do a full move. So we need a, according to the SLC action reference, we need a 4, 5 or a 6. And it will allow me, because I'm submerged now, I can only move 2, even if it is successful. And it's not successful. So I've used 1 action point, I've got 1 left. What to do? I'm going to change direction if I can. I've not done that before, I'm going to show you it. Change direction there. We're submerged, so it's a 4506. So we could be in a position here of not doing anything this turn if we don't get 4506. And we haven't, so SLC1 hasn't done anything. SLC2, it's got no damage, there's nothing to repair. Still surfaced. I'm going to gamble with this one as well. Oh, is there any need to? No. I'm going to dive. And I'm going to guarantee, I'm going to use both action points to guarantee it. The reason being, I can show you, is look at the patrol craft attack. If I stay on the surface, that's going to be on top of me whatever I do next turn, or when it moves this turn. If I'm surfaced on a 7 or more, it stuns my crew, which is, you can, in effect, it's a hit. You have 2 hits and then you're gone. You do have a chance to recover, but if it's submerged, it's a 10 or 11 or a 12 to hit me. So there's a big difference. So I'm going to submerge, knowing I'm going to get attacked. But we're going to maximise our chances of survival. Now 3. I'm going to use, I want to gamble again. Do I submerge myself? Oh, I want to gamble again. I was thinking, because it's still surfaced, I was thinking of going there using both action points, but I could also gamble on moving there, and then I could try and submerge. So it's, do we? Yeah. No, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. Then next turn I can change direction and go there. Yeah, so I'm gonna risk being on the surface again this turn. Okay. Now we go back to the searchlights. Searchlights, SLC1 is submerged, so as long as this isn't an 11 or a 12, we're all right. It's a 9, so we're okay. 2's already detected, so we don't roll for the searchlights. The no 2 is there. 3 is surface still, and it's a 4, so we've got away with it at the moment. There's another turn to come yet. So it's the patrol craft response. SLC1 is submerged, and it's not detected. So it's a 4. It was a 10 or 11 or a 12 that they needed to detect us. Now 2 has already been detected, and we've got a craft after it, but there's a chance of another craft. Submerged and detected, an 8 or more, and we end up with another patrol craft. And it's a 9, so we've got patrol craft 2. Now, while this isn't good news, there's only 4 patrol craft. The more that come after this one, the more freedom we have for these 2. It goes onto its exhausted side and it goes there, so that won't move this turn. And now we draw again, patrol craft response for SLC3, which is surfaced but not detected, so a 9, 10 or 11, 12, and it's a 6, so it's not. So we're doing all right with these 2. It's now patrol craft movement. Let me just read the movement out for you. What's happening is only the top one is going to move because the other one's on its exhausted side at the moment. So if there's a detector token within 3 hexes of a ready patrol craft, move the craft up to 2 hexes towards the closest detector token. So that one moves on top, so they're in the same hex. And then we move on to the patrol craft attack. So the patrol craft is going to attack SLC2. It's submerged, as we talked about. So 10 or 11 or 12, and they're stunned. It's a 6, so we're all right. It's not been hit, not yet, and it's submerged now. The problem is getting away from them. But I may have a plan. Not to get away from them, just to take them on a bit of a wild goose chase. So, end of the turn. This craft is now ready. Time moves on to 1:30. And we're moving on to a fault check on one of these. It's one, it's SLC 1. Let's check what the fault is. It's the ballast tank, which it could be a bit of a nightmare, because, I'll show you, the ballast tank, I think, if I turn that, so if we don't do this repair, it's going to surface. I'm not sure how that works. I'm trying to work out how that, if we, well, let's roll the die first and just see if we get a 6. No, so that stays there. Now I just want to check the rules to see. I would imagine I've got a surface now, and then I'll have to use, then I'll have to try and dive again once I've repaired it. So let me just double check. Yeah, as makes sense, it flips to its surface side. So we will be having our turns now. So it's SLC 1, the turn for SLC 1 now. It's 6 to repair it. I'm going to use both my turns and try and repair it, guarantee. So that goes to there, but it stays surfaced, unfortunately. SLC 2. I want to turn, actually. Well, they're both going to be catching it anyway, so if I want to change direction when I'm submerged, I'm going to go towards these cargo ships. So I'm going to change direction, and I'm going to gamble with it because this one is just leading them away. So I need a 4, 5 or 6 to change direction, and it's not change direction. What I'm now going to try and do is move again, 4, 5 or 6 to move to there. I can only move 2 because I'm submerged. Ooh, I'm not going to take that. I never take it when it's not come over dice turn. And unfortunately, it's now not. So again, that one's not moved, so not done well with number 2, which leaves us with 3. And I want to do 2 things. I'm surface. I want to turn that way, and I want to get next to the anti-torpedo net. So I'm going to gamble with both. And again, with both of these, to turn it's the same. I'm submerged, so we need a 4 or 5 or 6. Actually, if I'm surfaced, I can turn, guaranteed 1 go. So he's going to change direction if he can, and a 6. So he's changed direction. I'm going to try and do a full move, and move 2 places. And of course, that one pretty much made up for the disasters of the other 2. So that's our turns. And we're now on to searchlights for 1 and 3. So 1 is now surfaced, so a 10 or 11 or a 12, and they'll get us with a searchlight. 7, so we're alright. 2 is already detected, so 3 is submerged, and an 8, so that's alright. Patrol craft response, number 1 is surfaced, so it's a 9 or more. That one's okay. 2 could end up with another craft, and I actually want another craft after this one. It's submerged and detected, so it's an 8 or more. We'll get another one, and it's a 10. So we do, and it's going to go to that one in front. So finally 3, it's submerged, so it's 10 or 11 or 12 and it's detected, and it's a 10. So that one is detected, and I believe it gets a patrol craft after it as well. Where are we? Yeah, we'll place a detected token, so we'll place a yellow detected token on it. And the craft, and this is the last patrol craft, exhausts the side face up in the hex in front of the SLC, which is that one. And we're now on to movement. Well, that one can't move, it's exhausted. That bottom one can't move. That one's already on top of this, so it doesn't move, but this one moves on top. So we've got 2 craft trying to sink SLC2. Patrol craft attack, it's a 10 or more. So first one, 7, we're okay. And a 4, so we've got away with both of them, which is great news. Now we turn patrol craft over. All the patrol craft are on the board now, so can't send one after this one at present. Time moves on, and we move on to the 2 o'clock turn. And at that stage, I think I'm about 45 minutes in, so I'm going to pause the recording here and then carry. The rest of the game will be over in the second one. I don't know how long it'll take. It might be a fairly short video, part 2, but I will be back with you shortly. Thank you very much.